briny, salty, moldy, like a piece of wood that has been rotting in the forest. Dried peach. Very descriptive today. Good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Lover Society with me, Gert Retief. And tonight, before I start with the whiskey, quick thanks to all my subscribers. We are now at 618 subscribers. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the comments. And I see there's a lot of people that are watching my channel that are still not subscribers. So quick word for you. If you have finished watching this video, please consider to subscribe. So on to tonight's whiskey, the Octomore 6.1. It is something that I have been looking forward to trying. Well, 3 months ago, I would not have been looking forward to trying this one. But a lot of people have asked me to give it a try. And of course, I'm willing to try anything. And of course, not an easy one to find. Luckily, at my online store, I did find a sample bottle. And of course, I was quite eager to try it. Not a cheap bottle. This one will cost you, a full bottle, if you can get it, will cost 150 euros. This is a 5-year-old. It is a single malt. It is distilled at the Bruichladdich distillery. And it's mentioned it is the world's heavily peated whiskey. Actually, not really true. Octomore also have a 10-year-old that is bottled at 208 ppms. So maybe if it's time that they update their website and just give that title to the 10-year-old. But of course, I digress. So it is bottled at an eye-watery 67% ABV, matured in ex-American oak cask. And of course, they only use Scottish barley to make this whiskey. So onto the whiskey. I'm going to give it a quick nose and a taste. It's a small sample. I'm going to pour it and I'm going to hopefully find something nice to say about it. I am a little bit worried about this one. For the people that know me, that have watched my channel, I'm not a big fan of the peated ones. But let's start color-wise. I like the color. It's quite a nice golden color. The glass is a little bit on the dirty side. But yeah, it's nice, oily, thick, viscous type of look to it. But I can already get the peated smokiness coming out of it. So the Octomore 6.1 at 167 parts per million on the phenols. On the nose. Cheers. Now, I didn't expect that. This definitely, it is, I would not say smoky. I would venture more into a peatiness that's coming out. And it is actually not terrible. I was expecting a lot more medicinal notes. I was expecting a lot more of that TCP Band-Aid smoke coming out of this. Definitely not on this one. Quite a pleasant surprise. So for the people that has watched my previous videos, I did find the Port Charlotte. I did try the 10-year-old, the Isle of Barley, and it was absolutely fantastic. It did convert me a little bit into liking the peaty ones, and I'm quite looking forward to this one. So the smoke is definitely there, but it's a peat smoke for me. There's a lovely sweetness coming out of it. The smoke levels or the peat level disappeared quite fast for me. So that initial pour, you get that big smoky peatiness coming out, and but quickly it dissipates, and then you pick up the nice sweetness in the background. So There's also a little bit of a lemon, citrus lemon note coming out. It reminds me a little bit of a sweet lemon preserve. What I also get is a little bit of a moldy, wet, damp basement type of nose coming out. But I've never been in a dunnage warehouse, but my mind, it takes me in that direction, and my brain is telling me this is probably how it will smell like. Could be totally wrong. Maybe I can go to the dunnage warehouse one day and go smell for myself. But it reminds me about the way that my basement used to smell before I renovated my house, that the mustiness that's coming out. Also, a little bit like a piece of wood that has been rotting in the forest. It's not a rotten smell, but it's got that dark, musty note coming out, especially with a couple of mushrooms coming out of that old tree bark. Something similar to that. Very descriptive today. I also get a little bit of a brown sugar note, or even going into a little bit of a burnt caramel note. Absolutely fantastic on the nose, and every time that I go back, I do find something new. And every now and again, not every time, but especially if you bring your nose just close enough to the glass, I get a little bit of a green cut grass. So when you just mow the lawn, you get that little bit of a green note coming out. And one thing that I also pick up, and it reminds me of going to the beach in East London in South Africa. We have this fantastic beach with a lot of shingle. For the people that don't know, it's like the crushed seashells. So it's not sand yet, so quite coarse. If you take a handful of that, you get the seawater, the seashells, that mixture that you get. I get that little briny, salty seashell note at the back end. Quite pleasant, brings me back right down to my youth many years ago. Absolutely fantastic. I also get a little bit of a dried peach. Not that hard dry peach, but a soft dry peach. And a little bit of a vanilla. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know why I waited this long to try this one. So on the taste, cheers. Completely different on the taste. On the taste, immediately that 167 parts per million phenols comes in, and it tells you this is a high peated whiskey. Not offensive actually. It's a sweetness to it. A little bit of a burnt caramel note coming out. Let me just try again. I would describe it as a sweet, dark phenols coming out. Still nothing in the TCP or hospital taste for me. No band-aids, no tar notes coming out. Just a lovely sweetness and a little bit of that burnt caramel rounding it off. There's a little bit of a dark, rich, bitter note coming out as well, but it is not very offensive. Especially if you know me, that I don't like that oakiness in some of the whiskey, that bitter notes. In this one, I think it complements it very well. You get that sweetness, you get that bitterness coming out, and then of course that oakiness does balance the sweetness out for me. So quite a nice one actually. So I don't know why I was worried about this one. I do like it. I am quite happy promoting this one. I'm quite happy to tell my friends, if you haven't tried it, definitely try it. Now the only thing that is a little bit of a worry for me, of course, it's the price. At 150 euros for a bottle seems a little bit excessive for me. I know it's a market for a small group of people that use this as their bragging rights to say that, oh, you should try the Octomore. Well, I've tried the Octomore. Now I have the 10-year-old in my sights at 208 parts per million. So, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to part with that amount of money. Just a final thought on this one. So this is a sample. And what I've picked up on some of the samples, it can be that the sample was not from the full bottle. Maybe it was half a bottle, maybe it's almost an empty bottle. And of course, that also changes the taste of the whiskey over time. And just to, as a quick reminder, I also have a bottle of the Artbeck, a 5-year-old. Now, when I first opened up this bottle, I did not like it. It was abrasive, it was rough, it was in your face, it was just way too much. And I'm just going to give it a quick nose and taste as well. Now, I did this about a week ago. I gave it a try and I was so excited about it. The changes over time is absolutely fantastic. Now compared to the Octomore, this is like a sweet dessert wine for me. It's almost like the phenols have completely disappeared from it. It's just a lovely sweetness of it. I get a little bit of that honey, deep honey, dark honey notes coming out of it. And this was definitely not there when I opened up this bottle. So just as a quick reminder that this is also possible with this Octomore, that it has been not a new bottle, but something that has been oxidizing for some time. And of course, that can also release some of the phenols. Well, I'm not sure, but that is my experience. So if you buy a bottle and it's very offensive in the beginning, might give it a little bit of time, and with change over time, you'll be so surprised in how wonderful that stinky whiskey can become. So that's me. Oh, and it's really nice on the nose now. Everything is gone, just a lovely sweetness in it. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I see you next time. Cheers.